Welcome back to Virginia This Morning, live right here on CBS 6. Here's a question for you. Are you good at managing your time? In this segment, our own Evan Armour talks with an award-winning executive coach about this very topic, and here's that revealing conversation.
February is National Time Management Month, and if you need some help getting your day-to-day schedule in order, our next guest has some fantastic ideas that you can begin implementing today. We welcome Mitchell Creasey to Virginia This Morning. He is an executive coach. We're excited to have him. Good morning.
Evan, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on.
Excellent. Doing great. Really excited to have this conversation because this is such an important topic to be, talking about year round, but especially right now. And first, I want to ask you, why is it so important that we really prioritize time management?
Well, rather than time management, it's more about prioritizing ourselves. When we are prioritized first, two things happen. One, we show up whole and full to every event in our lives, which makes it go so much more smoothly and efficiently. Second, there is a trickle-down effect that goes far beyond what our conscious minds can conceive of. When we are whole and full, our families, our friends, our coworkers benefit from our entire being coming to the scene.
Absolutely. It is important and worth it to take the time to do this. So you have 3 ways that we can introduce boundaries at home to better manage our own time. I'm excited to talk about this. The first one is called the breath boundary. What's that?
So we live in a day and age where it is not uncommon where you are in a meeting whilst emptying the dishwasher, whilst scrubbing crayon off of the wall if you have kids at home. And the breath boundary, all it is a breathing tool to insert between each activity that resets the nervous system so you are less likely to make mistakes that you're going to have to go back and redo later.
So how do you recommend we get started with this? If this is something that we're like, yes, I could benefit from this, what do we do first?
So the first thing we want to do is we want to take a smooth, slow 5-second inhale through the nose. We want to pause for 5 seconds, holding the breath in our bellies. And then we want to exhale back out through the nose, nice and slowly, until the diaphragm contracts. This resets the nervous system so we can be more alert and efficient when we go into the next task, making us less likely to drop a dish, less likely to forget our microphone is on and say something we're going to have to explain later, or use the wrong product on the wall and have to inevitably repaint.
Such a good one, something easy that you can do, but with a big impact. So the next one we're talking about is called the decision boundary. What's that one?
So say you have a tricky email that you need to respond to, and you sit down on the couch and you're going to get to it. But next thing you know, you're scrolling Instagram, maybe you get back up, make a sandwich, go see what your partner's doing around the house, and half an hour's gone by and you haven't done anything. The decision boundary takes those distractions and it allocates time for them at the end of the day.
So how do you prioritize which ones you're going to sort of get to later in the day?
So
as you're going through your day, is there a way to sort of make a little checklist to say this needs to be on my decision boundary list?
Absolutely. So we want to use our awareness to say, I know that when there's something a little sticky I have to do, I usually get on the gram, or I go on Facebook first, or I grab a snack. Those are things that are really on my list. So when I sit down, I'm going to notice myself doing them. Then I'm going to tell myself, if I still want to do this thing later, scroll Instagram, scroll Facebook, get a snack, I can do it tonight. That way I'm still making space for my desires in the form of these distractions, but it keeps me on task. Excuse me. It keeps me on task so I can actually accomplish what I set out to do, which was compose this tricky email.
We all know those little habits that maybe we find ourselves falling into throughout the day. So I think for everyone, it might be a little different, but those, few things that maybe you need to prioritize. All right. So our third one is the house boundary.
A lot of my clients will be in their offices at home working away, and their kids will come bursting in through the door, or they'll whiz by the door making tons of noise. And quite honestly, it's a distraction. The house boundary is designed to eliminate said distraction. And how it works is we are going to repurpose everyday space for new uses. So between the hours of 9 to 5, my couch becomes the library. The space at the foot of my child's bed becomes the lab. And there's a schedule that says where everyone's going to be, for how long, when they're going to be there, and what they will be doing whilst they are there. Plus a contingency plan that says, if the kids finish early, this is where they go next, and this is what they do until you come get them. This keeps you in a power position and is meant to mimic the flow of the everyday life that we are so accustomed to.
Such great advice and things that we can all be putting to use today in our own homes. Mitchell Creasey, Executive Coach, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
We'll be sure to share some more information about Mitchell and his services on our website by early this afternoon.
You know, somebody who has some good time management skills? That Evan Armour.
Yeah.
And I love too that she just was like 1, 2, third point. Like she went into it and I just followed right along with, but that was some great advice.
I think maybe I need a lot more discipline to even come close to what that guy was talking about. Because it's like, you finish this task, you take a breath, you go to that task. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try. I don't, you know, I'm not managing this very well. Let me tell you this, I am terrible at that. And I learned something there and I'm going to try. But fortunately for us on Virginia This Morning, we have our own time manager. Her name is Tori.
Yes, Tori. She's telling us time right now, all day. She tells us how to keep it. But you must have had to have been a wizard with time management, given the schedules that you've lived by.
Well, yeah, because I like to eat. So if they say show up at 4 a.m., I show up at 4 a.m. Yeah,
Good point.
But the whole thing that we've been going through for the last year with, you know, the couch is the library, the end of the bed is the lab, and you take a break in between. It's like, all right, that's a whole different level there of just showing up for work and, you know, being in the workplace. That takes some concentration.
This title would make it sound chaotic, like a dump zone. Maybe I will call it the corral zone. I've tried so many different systems, and I like to manage time and follow schedules and build systems and be efficient. The one thing I always come back to is I have a good old fashioned paper notebook. And when those thoughts start swirling, they get written on the page. Doesn't mean I get to them that day, but at least I've like captured them so I don't have to focus that energy on remembering them anymore.
I didn't used to be a big list person. I am now, and it helps a lot, folks.
Yep.
All right, put this on your list. Hang on just a little longer because we got a lot more to go on Virginia This Morning.